Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wandalee, and as you can see by the title of this video, I'm going to be sharing my DNA ancestry results with you all. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it, and subscribe if these are the types of videos that you're interested in. O meu nome é Wandalee. I want to start off this video with sharing what I knew about my ancestors before taking my Ancestry DNA test. The results on Ancestry.com are really specific, which is why I'm really glad I went with that website, because there's a lot of websites out there. So I printed out like things I wanted to talk about because it was amazing how much information I learned about my ancestors. And yeah, I had to type it up because it was just too much information, a lot of geography, a lot of really cool, interesting facts. So what I originally knew about my ancestors before I went to Ancestry and took the DNA test, I did my own research. I talked to my grandmother, to my father, and now I'm talking about my paternal side of the family. I researched my paternal side, so my grandfather's side of the family, being that I have the Arnau last name from my dad's side of the family. So speaking to family members and doing research, I already knew that my name, Arnau, is French and Spaniard. I know that it is predominantly Spaniard, but it does have a French background as well. So when I did my research, I know that my ancestors lived on the border of Spain and France. And I actually went to the Bryant Park Library when I used to live in New York, and I found this Arnau book, but it was all in like in the Spaniard language, because yes, it is considered Spanish, but it's not the same Spanish that Puerto Ricans and Dominicans do speak. So that's all I really knew. So I started getting interested in my ancestors. I went to Ancestry. My husband got me the DNA kit for Christmas, and I submitted the DNA kit. Now I am Puerto Rican, but as you all know, Puerto Ricans are a mix of Spaniard, some type of indigenous Indian, and also African. So I already know that I have Spaniard in my blood. I was just curious to see the percentage, being that Hispanics look different. We all have a lot of, we come in different skin tones, different shapes and sizes. We all don't look the same, y'all. I was living of 3, and I was very different from my brother and sister. I'll show you guys a picture here. And you can see that my genetics, they were really strong as far as the blonde hair and the fair skin, a lot stronger in me than my brother and sister. So I know that even though we're siblings, sometimes the genes can really play, the genes can be stronger in one of your siblings than the other. So I was really curious to find out where the heck that came from. Okay, so we got that out of the way. So when I received the kit, you just spit in the tube and then you mail it out and you activate it. I believe it took about, I would say 6 weeks for me to get the results, and this is even in the midst of COVID. I actually got the results when I was on my honeymoon in Jamaica with my husband, and it was really exciting because when I got my results, for those of you who don't know, my husband is Portuguese. He is born and raised in Portugal, in Aveiro, Portugal, which is a off the coast like beach town. And when I got my results, I was laying next to my husband. It was really exciting because I found out that I do have Portuguese DNA, and a little bit more than I actually was expecting. So that was really exciting. All right, so we're gonna go into my results. I'm gonna break it down from the highest percentage based on continents and then countries to the lowest percentage broken down by continents and countries. I'm type A, so this just made more sense for me, and I'm also a teacher, so I wanted to make it a little more clear to understand. And yeah, so let's get into it. So I have all my notes right here. So the highest percentage of my DNA came back as 69% European. That is a lot higher than I initially thought. Again, I knew that Puerto Ricans are a mix of Spaniard, African, and some type of indigenous peoples. 69% of my DNA is European. Now let's break it down to actual countries. So out of that 69%, my DNA came back as 36% from Spain, which I'm not surprised, and that explains my last name, Arnau. It is not a typical Puerto Rican name. 5% of that is from Basque, and that's an autonomous community in Spain, which means it has freedom to govern itself. Next, 18% Portugal. I was really surprised by this, and it was actually really exciting to find out that I have such a close relation to my husband, because I didn't think I had any Portuguese in my DNA. And yeah, I don't know why I didn't think that, because obviously Portugal is right next to Spain. They're both on the Iberian Peninsula. That it's 3% France, which also I'm not really surprised, because Arnau, you do find some Arnaus in France, but majority of my ancestors did come from Spain and Portugal. Then this one is really surprising to me. Again, we're still under the 69% European. So what I'll do is I'll put it here, 69% European. 36% of that is from Spain, 18% is Portugal, 3% is France, 2% is European Jewish. Now I had to look that up because I don't really know, I've never heard of European Jewish. European Jewish are Jews who settled in France and Germany. Then 2% Scotland. Now I'm gonna break this down. I'm gonna insert now. I wasn't really aware of, I got a little confused. I'm not great with geography. I know that United Kingdom is part of Europe, but it almost seems when you type it up, it kind of separates the UK from Europe. Now, these three percentages I want to talk about, they were all in the United Kingdom. So we have 2% Scotland, which is in the United Kingdom, 1% Ireland, and 1% Wales. They're all in the United Kingdom, and I'm going to insert a picture here so you can see that they're all part of the United Kingdom, as well as England and Northern Scotland. Now, I thought this was interesting because growing up in, I believe, my late middle school and high school years, I went to a predominantly Hispanic and Black high school. We had a few Caucasian people, not much. And I always had this like inclination towards like things of the Celtic culture. Now, I wasn't introduced to it. My mother, father didn't introduce me to anything. None of my friends introduced it to me. I found these things on my own. So I used to love, obsessed with Lord of the Dance. If any of you know what that is, Lord of the Dance is like this clogging type of dance, and it is actually from Ireland, and it's like a clogging, and it's Celtic. So I used to go home every day after school, I remember, for quite a few months, and I used to watch about an hour and a half of this Celtic dance, and to this day I think it's so beautiful, so amazing. The main guy that I used to like, they have a new main person now, but the one I used to like, I believe his name is Michael Flasky or something like that. I want to show you guys a little video because it's beautiful. They keep their bodies really stiff and only their feet move, and they make like these really great beats. And then Michael, actually let me look it up because I want to make sure. So when I found out that I had that percentage, which is a total of, let's see, 4% of the United Kingdom, and it was a high Celtic influence, I was like, maybe that's why I was so obsessed with that when I was younger. You never know. I'm one of those people who believe that our blood not only gives us traits from our ancestors, like physical traits, but I also think it also gives us like other attributes and characteristics. Let me know what you guys think, if you also agree that your bloodline can also carry some personality traits, and also it can even, I feel like the blood calls, you know what I mean? Like the blood is really, I feel like the blood can even call to you and even draw you to your own culture that you're not aware of. Okay, so here we go. His name is Michael Flatley, and he was a really great showman. He would dance in front of all the cloggers, but he would make it real dramatic. He looked kind of 80s. He had like a headband with like the leather open jacket with no shirt, greasy shiny chest with like leather pants. Anyway, I'm gonna show you guys. If you hear some noises, guys, my husband, his man cave is downstairs. Obviously I'm in the living room. His man cave is downstairs. He's playing his soccer on, I think it's his PlayStation or his Xbox with his cousin. So sometimes, you know, you hear a little yell on the screen. No need. Second percentage that was the highest is, the second highest is African. 16% African. And I broke that down into different African countries. So out of that 16% African, it's 5% Cameroon and Congo. that is in West Central Africa. I'll insert a picture here. So after World War I, it was divided between France and the UK. And this influence is why the official languages are English and French. Then 4% Nigeria, which is right above Cameroon and Congo. The three main ethnic groups in Nigeria are Hausa, Yoruba, and I'm probably totally saying this wrong, and Igbo. They have Arab influence, which led to the Islamic conversion. Portuguese is funny. Portuguese ships arrived in Nigeria in 1486, and that's when they began to trade people in Nigeria as opposed to goods. And it was really interesting to look at the maps of where my ancestors came from, because I could literally see how the majority of my DNA was in Europe, but then it trickled down in almost a straight curved line down Africa and slightly up into the United Kingdom. So that was really interesting to see. It was good to see a visual. For those of you who love visuals, if you take the DNA test, do your studies, look at the countries, but also look at the visual, how your ancestors may have spread down a little, and then you can see the percentage gets lower or higher. Next is 4% Senegal. Again, French is the official language because it was influenced by French colonial rule. And Senegal is known for its drums. The drums characterize the music of the country, which tends to be lively and upbeat. That explains why my body just moves when I hear like that drum sound. You know what I mean? It's like you hear the drums or like the congas, and it's like something inside of me is like, yeah. I guess that's the Senegal influence. I don't know. But all right. And then, so that's the African. I think there's one more in the 16%. Yes, there is. So still under the 16% African. 2% of me is from Northern Africa, and that consists of the Western Sahara. I'll put a picture here because you're like me, you're not really brushed up on your geography. Western Sahara, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Sudan, and South Sudan. And then 1% came back from Mali, which is West Africa, which is right at the top of Africa. So yeah, that really helped me see the progression of my ancestors from Europe and down into Africa and back up into the United Kingdom. Now, the third highest percentage of my DNA is from Indigenous Puerto Rico, which is considered the Caribbean, okay? Out of that 14%, 13% is Taino. Tainos had their own language. They were conquered by Spain in the late 15th and 16th earlier century. And I found this really interesting that when Christopher Columbus met the Taino Indians, one of the things he said was that they're very well built with very handsome bodies, and I'm quoting this, and very good faces. They do not carry arms or know them. They should be good servants. So obviously he was already planning on completely destroying them and conquering them, but thank you. So yeah, so my Taino people are very well built, explains a lot, very handsome bodies and very good faces. Thank you, my ancestors. Okay, not sure how well I'm keeping up that body with this quarantine stuff, but you know, it's in my blood, it's in my DNA. So the next, out of the 14% indigenous Puerto Rico, there's also 1% Haiti, which is also considered Caribbean. Then there's 1% South American. So I'm 1% indigenous Colombian, and Colombians are actually European, a mix of European and Indian ancestry. So that is pretty much it, you guys. It was really interesting to find out where my ancestors come from. If you have not done this yet, I suggest you go to Ancestry.com, because a lot of DNA like companies or websites, they'll send you a general percentage, but I really love how Ancestry breaks it down. I shared my European, African, and Caribbean background, but I was even able to break it down to smaller parts and to specifically share the countries that my ancestors are from. It was great to know. It explains a lot when I think about myself. So yeah, it was really interesting. Please comment below. Let me know if you've taken the Ancestry DNA test, what you thought about it. Do you feel like our blood does influence our likes, our dislikes, our characteristics, not just physical features? And that's something I think they affect more than just our physical features. So it was nice to have that connection. I think it would be great for everyone to take a DNA test, because although a lot of us have these unconscious bias against other people, I think when you take a test like this and you see that no one's 100% anything, we're all kind of connected in some way, we're all mixed with so many different so many different countries, it really helps us appreciate all those countries and find a connection between them. So I think that helps remove any of that bias that we have towards other people of other cultures and other races. So if not for any other reason, take it for that reason and really find out where you come from and find some connections with people that you never thought you had connections with. I never thought I would have any little inkling of a connection with Wales, Scotland, or Ireland. Yes, it is small, but it kind of does explain why I was obsessed with some of the Celtic culture. And just to FYI, I am sitting behind my almost finished living room. That's going to be coming up soon, so be on the lookout for my updated living room tour. Really excited about that. I'm almost done. I just have to do one more coat on this fireplace to make it match the light gray, and then that video will be coming up soon. That's all for today, you guys. Stay safe, stay blessed, and until next time. Tchau! É tudo por hoje. Fiquem bem, fiquem abençoados. Até a próxima. Tchau!